We met at Microsoft. We worked in Outlook, on the dev side. We're both program managers. Before that, I was a developer, and I went to Microsoft to be a program manager, which was not any coding, which I didn't like, so I didn't stay very long. And we left to start our own business. So I mentioned our website, recipe website. So we started that. Did that for several years, 7, 8 years, and sold that, and said, now we can do our brewery. Yeah, so the idea was, I always wanted to have my own business. I just think it's a great American thing to have your own business, and I wanted to do it. And I was bored at Microsoft, and I said, now's the time. We don't have any kids. We can commit to this. We can take this huge gamble. And so we just did it. And I thought recipes were such a cool. It was a technical problem to solve. So what differentiated the recipes are from other sites is that it wasn't just text on a page. It actually understood what was in the recipe. So it would parse. People would type it in the way they normally type in the recipe, and it would parse it out and figure out that it has 3 cups of sugar, 2 cups of flour, nutrition facts, and a shopping list. A lot of more sites have that now, but back then nobody did. So it was just kind of a cool technical problem to solve. Like, if you wanted to make something cool like that, just to see if I could do it. And that's kind of the core of the thing. We created a lot of cool technical filtering capabilities. So it was a huge database. It was easy to put your recipes in. They got put up in minutes instead of weeks or months. So people could post them more. So the database just grew and grew and grew, and as it grows, people just come to it. So it just we just worked on it and worked on it and worked on it, and just grew and grew and grew, and slowly. In retrospect, it seems like it's fast, but then it was very slow. It just grew and became very popular. And this is back in, so the dot-com crash happened in 2000, so nobody cared about the web or the internet. And we just kept plugging away at it, and then all of a sudden everybody started calling us saying we were popular and we wanted to sell it. And we're like, no, this is great. We live have this great life. We don't want to do this. We don't want to have a boss again. And we realized when you have a boss, it's pretty great. So we just kept turning everybody down until the offers just got serious enough. The numbers were big enough. And it's like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I think that you can see parallels between what we were doing with Recipe Czar and our cooking community and what we're trying to do here with Optimism in just two very different worlds. Plus, it was about, enabling the great cooks of the world to be able to exchange their recipes on a much broader scale. That, the best cooks are not necessarily the ones that are on Food Network. They really are someone's grandma and their famous lasagna recipe or whatever. And we're trying to do the same thing with beer, and not that everybody's here making beer, but that it is really an accessible thing, that there's a lot of diversity in the product, and we're trying to bring more people to beer too, and not just make it something that is for beer snobs or beer geeks. Really, I find it a great success whenever I'm working the counter and someone comes in and says, well, I'm usually a wine drinker. What should I have? Or I normally just drink cider. And I'm like, great, that's a challenge, that's fun. And tasting them through all of these different beers, and they're like so shocked because, normally they've only had one kind. All they've ever had was macro beer in college, and that doesn't have the same kind of flavor of what they're looking for. But exposing that is really fun for us. Everyone always thought that because we had a recipe and cooking website that we must be great cooks, or that we must be real foodies. We were very good at eating, but we were not really great at cooking. To us, it was just a really fun technology project more than anything. When it comes to beer, though, Troy's been a home brewer for 25 years, off and on, and so it was always a lifelong dream to have a brewery. That was really big.
I was a beer drinker back in high school and college, and always went to imports, and kind of, I guess, a beer nerd in the sense that I didn't drink Walter's Best and everybody else I knew. And then Sam Adams came out, which I thought was great because he was such a great entrepreneur and marketer, and I love his big versus guy. So I just started getting into homebrewing because I liked beer so much, and I wanted to get fresh ones of the beer from Europe. Really, I was for all the different styles, and I'm a tinkerer, so I like to take things apart and see how they work. So I thought making beer is the best way to understand all the different styles and how different all the beers are. So I just got into that, and it's just been about half an hour until the brewery.
And after so many years of working in technology and the digital space, we just really we wanted our next business to be something where we made a real product and gave it to real people that we could see across the counter, as opposed to never meeting or ever seeing on the internet.
It's like intangible, something that really exists. The software exists in your brain, but it doesn't, you can't hold it, you can't explain it to people very much or very well. And everybody likes beer. Well, we came from the tech world, and the tech world is very geeky, and it explains things in very deep engineering terms. And Apple wouldn't do that. Apple would explain it to and explain their products in layman's terms. And we realized, when working with customers and software, that people don't care about those geeky details. They don't want to know about that. They just want to know how to use it. And they want to be as easy to use as possible. So when we came to this, we realized that most people don't, even our friends who are beer drinkers, don't know. They know IPA or stout and pilsner. They don't know all 130 plus styles. And as I was brewing beer and giving it to them, I would explain the style, and their eyes would just glaze over. They were just annoyed when I listened to this. So we just realized we shouldn't talk about styles, because we want to appeal to the masses. We don't really care about the beer geeks. Like beer geeks, we're beer geeks, but we want to make beer for the masses. Because beer is so broad and so wide and so popular, anybody can drink it. We also don't want it to become like wine, where it becomes very pretentious, and people are scared to talk about wine to a waiter, because the waiter just mentions all these terms that people don't understand or want to understand. They just want to know how it tastes and whether they're going to like it. So we try to describe the beers as the way they taste, or the way they smell, so you can get a better idea of what you want to taste. And I think IPAs are a good example, because IPA, everything now is, if it has hops or if it's hop forward, it's called an IPA. And now there's red IPAs, white IPAs, black IPAs, brown IPAs, Western, Northeastern IPAs, East Coast IPAs, West Coast. So everything, there's so many IPAs, and they're really just different beers. They're very hop forward, but they taste very different. So we don't want people to come in and say, I like IPAs or I don't like IPAs. You can have an IPA you don't like, or you can say, I don't like IPAs, and try an IPA that is not like what you had, and then use beer. So that's why we just don't pigeonhole people and talk about the beer styles. We'll talk to them, people want to talk to us about them, and all the staffers just their own beer service, so they know all the styles. But we just don't, if people come up and they aren't talking styles, we don't just rattle off the style and say, well, this is a red ale, or this is an IPA, or this is our pilsner.
No, the whole notion of naming beers by style and creating this enormous taxonomy, it didn't ever used to exist. The reason why we have it is because of beer judging contests. You couldn't just have one brewery win the contest, or one beer when there was 10 or 20 beers. That's fine. But when there's hundreds, you really have to break it down so that you can have more winners. And so people who become in the know, they really try to sit on that knowledge and feel like a little bit more superior to others because they know these beer styles, but that's not at all where they came from, or that they're even necessary. So for us, it's super important to make beer accessible, like Troy was saying, not to make people feel intimidated or stupid because they don't know the difference between a regular stout and a dry Irish stout. If you like the beer, you like the beer, and that should be good enough. We've found that by not labeling the beers that way, people are more willing to step outside the usual styles that they buy, and their experience is broadened. Can't tell you how many people walk in and say, oh, I don't like IPAs, or that's the only thing I'll drink is IPAs. And when you take that away from them, then they try those beers, they can discover, wow, there are IPAs I do like, or oh, wow, there's way more to the beer rainbow than just IPAs, and we feel like that's a really big success. If all craft ever does is turn everyone who was drinking, a macro beer, Bud Light or Coors Light, into drinking IPA, well then we failed, because what beer is so enormous and broad and multivaried. We really want to try to get people to
We have a lab. We're a pretty small brewery and only 1,000 barrels a year, but we have a lab, which is kind of unheard of with this size. Just because we're geeks and we like to do. I mean, we want to make sure the beers aren't infected, and we want to do tests on them, but we want to have consistency and we want to measure things. But it's really just because we're just geeky. We want to learn about these things and study the beers. We do a lot of sensory stuff, which is kind of like a user experience type of thing with beer, where in the tech world we bring people in and new software and just ask them what they have trouble with and you watch them. So we have a sensory room where people can come in and taste the beers and give us their feedback on the beers. We also have, I made my own software, being a software developer. All the software that runs the brewery is made custom by us. That manage the inventory, the recipes, the production schedule, and keeps logs of all the beers. We can always go back and look at them and make pretty graphs of the gravity and the temperatures and things like that. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, you downplay your software, but it really is pretty sophisticated, because we knew from the very beginning the only way that you can ensure a clean and consistent product is if you measure it. And that you have a lot of data on that product. And when you're making something that is derived from agriculture, right, grain and hops, being able to make that product and make them consistently every time is super important. So we're doing that from the very beginning, even on a small scale, because that stuff is really fun for us. Usually those kinds of measuring tools and measurements really doesn't happen until you're much larger. So when Troy's talking about sensory, we do this as a team, but we also bring in the public. We have a specialized testing room where you come in, it's all white, and there are library carols, and there are little doors that will open up, and you'll get 2 beers served to you, and there are 2 different batches perhaps of the same beer, and we ask people to taste and rate that beer based on those adjectives that we think describe that product. So we want to make sure that if we say that there's a citrus or grapefruit element in this beer, that really is there. There's only so much we can measure and test for. We ultimately have to have people come in and taste beer and tell us if there's grapefruit flavor in it. So we'll give them 2 batches, make sure that it's got the level of grapefruit that's in it from the last batch, or that this new test batch that we're trying out has what we're looking for in it. And if we're not fulfilling that expectation, we either need to go change our recipe, or we need to change the way we talk about the product. So, we gather a lot of data in order to make those determinations, just as a team and with the public.
Yeah, we wanted to be in the city. We live in Capitol Hill, so we wanted to be here. We believe cities should be built around breweries. It shouldn't be on the outskirts. Years ago they were. Breweries were very popular and very kind of the center of the city, or things were built around the popular breweries. And I love that part of history about beer. I think beer is super important to society and culture. So we really wanted to be in the middle. And we wanted to get, part of back to the user experience, this is such a diverse neighborhood, we want to get the most diverse customer base here to test the beers and tell us what they think, rather than just being out in the middle of nowhere where you get beer geeks who want to come and try the beers. We want to get everybody there. So that was really important. The size is, we looked around Capitol Hill for a couple of years to find a place, and it's hard to find a place that can house a brewery in Capitol Hill. And we found a few buildings, but this one just worked out. It's probably bigger than we expected it to be, or we needed it to be. But we didn't build the building, so we don't have much space in it. You can't buy half the building. So we got this building and put the brewery right in the center, and I think that's what people should see. I wanted people to feel like they walked into a factory, like, whoa, am I supposed to be here? This is a factory. I think the whole industrial thing is pretty cool. People want to see how their food's made, how the beer's made, and people working on it. So yeah, it's big, but I think we made it work, and we wanted to put a lot of people in here, so it's kind of like a beer hall type of thing. That's how we ended up here. The name Optimism came from, so we had a business before that had this terrible name. We complicated. We couldn't spell it. Nobody could understand it. We couldn't explain it. It didn't really mean anything. It was a .com, so you could only get what you could register, the domain names you could register. So we wanted to pick a name that meant something, that was more meaningful. And then we had kids, and we knew that the name of the business would be ever present in their life. They'd see it everywhere. They'd hear us talking about it. So if you're gonna do this, if it's a name that doesn't mean anything to them, it's kind of a lost opportunity. But if it has some meaning that we want to evoke in the kids, optimism is a great thing, and we want to be very positive, and beer is very positive. And craft beer has this culture of rebelliousness and kind of tough guy, and we don't want to be that. That's just not who we are. We want to just want to be a positive influence in society and have this great positive brand instead of this kind of dark, rebellious, angry brand that a lot of people have. It's fine if that's their thing, but it's just not us.
Breweries are often named something about the place that they came from, or something that's more rebellious, or we're the rebellion against big beer. And we really wanted to make it more accessible and use this modern terminology and one of our core family values. And for us, optimism isn't just like high-eyed, the world is a great place. It truly is going out and fighting the good fight to make things better. So we do a lot of work with nonprofit groups. We donate our space, we donate our product, because we feel like the nonprofits are the ones that get up every single day, despite failure after failure, and try to change the world. And so although we don't know how to cure cancer, we can't solve the homelessness crisis, but we can use our beer for good. And so that's the other half of what optimism is about. It's about making a great product and a really great community space, and celebrating optimism wherever we can too, and promoting it. We have a saying around here that the people who say they don't like beer, they just haven't met the right beer yet. And so that's why it's fun to find that right beer for that person. I do think as a woman in this industry too, that the industry has for a long time done a great disservice to appealing to us. And as, not to be like completely sexist, but macro beer advertising has been very bad for a long time, and craft has taken this rebellious and often misogynistic advertising bent, whether it's pictures of babes on labels, or the names, the double entendres, or the names of beers can be really sexist. And I think a lot of craft brewers don't really recognize that. They think they're being, in a way, counterculture, and that everyone understands that, and that people are brought in. And I don't think so. I think that a lot of women turn more towards wine because it has a level of sophistication, or it just simply doesn't turn them off in the way a lot of craft beer has. And that's not to say it's everyone, but it's out there. And so we want to stop that. And I think that there's a lot of craft brewers who are not taking that seriously and really trying to change things. So that's one of my personal champions, is to try to get more women.
I don't know what the difference is between beer and wine drinkers. I think people like what they like, and that's fine. But I think, to me, wine it's so narrow. There's red and white, and you talk to a wine person, they'll say it's very diverse, but it's pretty narrow within the different types of grapes you can get. And beer is just so much more broad. And I think that's what's more interesting about it. I think beer is more casual. It's for the everyman instead of just very expensive. People who can afford very expensive bottles of wine, which I love. And beer is one of those things. Nobody says, "Hey, let's go out for a whiskey," or "Let's go out for a glass of wine." They say, "Let's go out for a beer." And beer is it's very social. It seems like it's more social to me than wine or spirits. And I think that's what's really great about it. People hang out, sit around with beer. The level of alcohol is pretty low, so you can drink several over several hours without getting completely drunk. You have 4 or 5 glasses of wine, you're going to be pretty drunk. Or 4 or 5 cocktails, you're pretty drunk. So I think it's just a more social thing. people get together. One of the reasons why we want to have this place is because we want people to get together over beer. So it's so simple. It's just tables and beer and your friends. And we don't have a bunch of TVs. We want people to be very social and talk to each other. Talk about optimistic things. Cheer people up who are not feeling so optimistic. That sort of thing. So, but yeah, I like all the spirits. They're great. I don't, I'm not a prohibitionist. I really want to ease the laws on it, but I think that my big fear with beer is that it's become like wine, where it's just award after award after award. The prices just go up, and it becomes just unapproachable. I think we lose something in beer if that happens. It's been going great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, people mention these ideas, and we just thought when we were designing the building that we were just doing what made sense, and people came in and they were shocked by the stuff that we did, like the gender neutral bathroom. We just thought, why wouldn't you do that? Because it turns out the city didn't like that. They had a fight with the city to make that happen. But it's going well. The no tipping thing was, we took the gender neutral bathrooms, the no tipping, no cash policies. We just did because we thought that's what we should do, and it's cool and it's easier, and people generally have been accepting of it. The no tipping thing, sometimes people throw dollar bills at the servers, kind of insulting. But we put a little placard up that explains it, and I think people understand that a lot better, so we get a lot of credit for that. The gender neutral bathroom here in Seattle, so you get a lot of people who are pro that, so they like that. People are a little disarmed by it, but I think they generally like it, and we get a lot of positive comments.
I think the big thing is that we don't do what everyone else does just because that's the way it's always been done. We had to design bathrooms, so we're like, how can we make the most efficient bathrooms in the space that we have? And as a woman, it's frustrating to know that there's always a couple toilets locked off in the men's room that are not getting used, and those I could be putting to use for my female
the women's
guests.
bathroom is empty while all the men are waiting in line to use the bathroom.
Yeah, one or the other, right? So it was a lot easier to design the bathrooms that we did, but little did we know we would have to fight the city for it. Same thing with cash, like counting cash is a pain. It slows down the line for people to get beer. It's extremely unsafe for our servers to be handling a tremendous amount of cash. Let's just not do it.
We were building it. We had a friend who owns a chain of ice cream stores in Seattle. They had been pulled up twice in the last 6 months or something while they're doing this, and we got at gunpoint. And we thought, I don't want to have to expose our employees to that. So let's just not have cash. So yeah, it's worked out well. I mean, I don't think anybody complains about it anymore. Some people think we are required by law to accept cash, which we're not. But other than that, I think it's been pretty good. It's much faster, makes the line move much faster.
The big thing I think that people are unfamiliar with is that we are tip-free, and we feel that as business owners, we should be responsible for our workers' wages, and they should not have to rely on the whim of a customer to get paid. They should have a wage they can count on. We pay living wage, we pay health insurance, and we raise our price because of that. Our price is higher than other places. Our tax is included in that price, so what you see on the menu, there's no surprises. It's exactly what you should pay. The more we delved into that, the more we come to realize that tipping has a real racist history to it, and it is, it's classist, it's extremely sexist. Women have to put up with a lot of, we'll say, impolite customers or sexual harassment in their workplace because they depend on that tip to make their wage, and here they don't have to do that. And you know that they're genuine